more on what this budget means for regional Australia, I'm joined from Canberra by National MP and former Deputy Prime Minister Barnaby Joyce. Barnaby, thank you for joining us, and tell us, will this budget deliver for regional Australia?
Well, I hope it does, because if you look at it, Rita, it works like this. You're watching me on an overseas camera, you're watching me on an overseas television, you'll get sick of this, go to the beer from an overseas fridge, you'll jump in your car to get away from here in an overseas car with overseas fuel in it, and guess who puts the product on the boat, Rita? It's those terrible coal miners, those terrible live cattle people, all that horrible natural gas. And what about the iron ore miners and the cotton, terrible sheep, all these terrible products? They get us the terms of trade. They're in regional Australia. And if you want to make this nation as powerful as possible, as quickly as possible, to deal what's before us, then you must invest in where we make the dollars. So build the roads. Now, I hear they've got $400 million for a road from Mungandai to Charters House. It goes through the gold precincts. It goes through the cattle country. Probably not a bad idea. I hear they've got further money for roads recovery. That's good, so we can move product. I hope there's more money to build the inland way from Bulliard through to Laverton down to Perth. So you've got a direct route through the Channel country. I hope that that's the sort of investment we get. And as well, because the reason we got a bit of a reprieve from what was going to be an absolutely ginormous deficit is because iron ore and coal and gas and a reduction in unemployment.
Well, the budget is going to allocate some $371 million to a biosecurity package to help keep exotic pests and diseases out of the country. How much of a difference will that make for farmers? Is that something they've been demanding?
Well, what it does, Rita, it means we can maintain our exports. It doesn't actually grow your export, it maintains it where it is. It's your insurance policy to stop things such as foot and mouth, screw fly, a whole range of exotic pests that if they got into this nation would decimate our capacity to produce an agricultural product and all the people employed in that area. You've got to remember, most of the jobs, the vast majority of the jobs are not on the farm. They're in the abattoirs, they're in the poultry industry, they're in processing. This is the place where the work is, and one of these exotic pests got in, you lose them. So it's payment for a more astute insurance policy. It doesn't actually in itself grow exports, but it's essential if you want to have that security of maintaining your exports into the future.
Now, as strong as the economic recovery appears to be, are you worried, as I am, about the amount of debt that we are accumulating? It is enormous amounts, and it's going to take a long time to pay back, Barnaby.
Yeah, look, I've always been concerned about that. I've never voted for a stimulus package in my time in politics. I've always vacated the room or noted that I'd be voting against it, and because I'm an accountant, and by reason of being an accountant, I'm scared of people who go broke. I'm scared of people who have excessive debt. So we've got to have some vision to pay this down. You've got to remember the bondholders in China or secondary bondholders in London or in the Middle East. They didn't give us the money. They've lent you the money. Now, I'll tell you what $1 trillion looks like. If they're $100 bills and you laid them end to end, they would go around the world 38 times. Our gross debt is heading towards $1.7 trillion. So imagine that's around about 70 times. And just think of it. Just think of $100 bills. If you lined them up, you'd say, oh, well, that's here to the end of the corridor. Okay, no, keep going. Where am I going to? Well, go to Coffs Harbour with it. Keep going to Sydney. Keep going to Brisbane. Damn it, go all the way to Cairns. Why stop there? Go right around the damn world 38 times, and then go another 20 or so times, and actually go another 10 times after that, and you're going to get to how big this debt is. Now, don't take it for a joke. Just remember, this is serious money.
I don't take it for a joke, Barnaby, but
I'm not talking to you. I'm talking
elsewhere.
to TV,
I read it. Yeah, well, you read in The Guardian, or we don't even have to worry about paying this back. Don't worry about it. It's not like household debt. You read in The Conversation or other leftist media. They seem to think this is free money, and it's just something that we really don't have to concern ourselves with. As long as there's stimulus and as long as there's investments being made, we're sweet. But someone has to pay this debt back, and it's us.
Of course. No, well, actually, it's not us. It's your children, your grandchildren, your great-grandchildren. That's who pays it back. And if you say, well, we're just not going to pay it back, then our currency is worth nothing. It's smashed. And how will you pay it back? It's one of the reasons in making our nation as powerful as possible, as quickly as possible, you must, as quickly as possible, show a path to getting on top of the debt, show a path out. And that's why you must head towards surpluses. And that is the essence so often of Conservative governments, whether it's Costello, whether it was Hockey. To be quite frank, a whole range of treasures right back to John Howard. You've got to show your capacity and your willingness on the Conservative side of politics to have a vision to pay back the money you owe to somebody else. Because it's not our money, it's not given to us, it was not a grant. It was not like people who have peasants and poverty just say, oh, we'll buy some of your bonds and leave our people where they are. They go, you're a rich country. You can, we trust that you can pay us back. Show us how you will. And that's something I'm glad that the deficit is going to be less than they predicted. And I hope I see a path into the future of how they drive it down. Because if I didn't, I'd be a hypocrite, because I've banged on about the amount of our debt for as long as I've been in this building.
Well, it's important. Now, lastly, Barnaby, you've just seen off a pre-selection challenge in your seat of New England from former soldier Alex Rubin. He says he's going to be back. What's your response?
So will I. It was a decisive win, and I'm very humbled by it. And what's really humbling is when people come in because they believe you're doing a good job and they want you to stay there. And I think it was 100, well, it's public knowledge now, it was 112 to 12. So we didn't just win, we won solidly. As I always say, there's no point trying to poach a seat you have. Go win one you haven't. And, if people, it's their right. If they want to stand again, they stand again. And like last time, I'll be ready for it. That's, I hope people understand that I love the job. I don't take it for granted. I don't feel I'm entitled to it, but by gosh, I'll fight for it.
Oh, Barnaby Joyce, fantastic to talk to you tonight. Thank you for joining me on the show.
Thank you, Rita.